Welcome back to Planet Doug Behind the Scenes. Just got hit with a raindrop. Didn't bring my umbrella, so I hope it doesn't rain. It's dinner time, and my favorite place, the Yummy Cottage Food Court, is closed. It's a Tuesday today. You can see it behind me. That place is closed on Tuesdays. So, I was thinking about going to a new market lane that I heard about. You know, like an interesting place, like a street where you get all kinds of restaurants open up along the sides of the street at night. Kind of a night market, food court, outdoor kind of deal. But I don't have the energy for that, like to really have dinner and treat it as a exploration. I just need food. I just need a simple place to eat. And luckily this neighborhood has a bunch of options for that. One of them is New World Park, and I'm heading there right now. When I woke up this morning, I wasn't sure what the weather was going to be like. It's been raining a lot lately. It's almost impossible to think in Penang. There's just way too much noisy traffic. It really is. Yeah, I went out on the Brompton folding bike today, and yeah, it was just kind of overwhelming. I'm not sure how many more bike rides I'll do. The city just isn't suited for cycling or walking, to be honest. Even here, it was kind of dangerous out there on the road. Cars were cutting pretty close to me. So I thought I should come onto the sidewalk. But yeah, if you look at the sidewalk around me, this is a real obstacle course. It's basically a construction site. So pick your poison. How much danger do you want to be in? But at least walking along here, I'm not going to get hit by a car coming up from behind me. Now I will, because I have to go back out onto the road. Anyway, I was saying I didn't really know what I was going to do today, and I didn't make any big plans because it's been raining so a lot. But then at around, I don't know, 7:45 or something like that, I came out of my room. My room at this Airbnb is windowless, so I have no idea what's going on with the weather until I go out of my room. And I went out, and the skies were clear, blue skies, fluffy white clouds, nice sunshine. So I thought, so weather's good today. And I considered hopping on a bus and going back to, I can never remember the name of any towns anywhere, but this, like, Teluk Bahang, that's the town about 20 kilometers north of here where the national park is located. And I have plans to return there and then take one of the boats out to Monkey Island or go hiking somewhere, just to kind of revisit that area. And I thought, I could do that today because the weather looks pretty nice. But I wasn't really mentally prepared to do that because I wasn't planning on it. If I'm going to do something like that, I kind of want to know about it the night before, and I kind of wake up with that idea, and I've already pre-packed for it, and I'm mentally and physically ready to go. I don't like to rush into an idea. So I thought, no, let's not do that today. Let's dial it down a little bit. Oh yeah, there's a pedestrian crosswalk over here. I should head over here in order to cross this busy street. Otherwise, I'll never get a chance to do it. My other idea for the day, and that was actually my original idea, was to go to the old Protestant cemetery, which is nearby, and make the day kind of a historical day. This was a cemetery that was active in the 1800s. It is a cemetery now, but new people aren't being buried there anymore. It's like a historic site. And the founder of Penang, Francis Light, he's buried there. So I thought I could go to this historic cemetery and see the tombstone, the gravesite of Francis Light. And I was interested in doing that because this man and his story has sort of been in my thoughts a lot since I came here. And I've been doing a lot of reading about him and finding out more about him. And I think when I did my Beach Street video, I talked about him a lot, and I think I said a lot of things that were incorrect. Because Since then, I've read a lot more, and now I'll probably have to delete a lot of things from that Beach Street video, things that I said that were historically inaccurate. I've just arrived at New World Park. They still have a mask policy. Even though it's outdoors, you still have to wear a mask here. At least they have signs up saying that, and everybody's wearing a mask, so put one on. Yeah, today, for the very first time in a long time, I went into a 7-Eleven without a mask because I was riding the bike and I wasn't wearing a mask at the time on the bike, and I was kind of tired and kind of flustered, and I just sort of parked the bike and ran into 7-Eleven. I wanted to grab a drink really quick and come back out again before somebody steals the bike. So I wasn't thinking, and I just sort of went in, bought something, came out, and then when I was coming out, I was like, oh, I completely forgot to wear a mask. And I think that's like the first time in years I've gone into a 7-Eleven, any store really, without a mask on. It's kind of crazy. So here's a New World Park. Doesn't seem to be that busy. On Google Maps, they call it sort of like a fast food place, and I guess it is sort of the Malaysian version of fast food. It's all the normal Malaysian dishes, I think, but they just serve it very quickly here and very easily. This is the area out there. It's like a food court. I've eaten here three times already, actually. Well, eaten twice and come for a drink once. It's just, yeah, fast food. It's convenient and easy, so that's why people get fast food, and that's why I came here. When I was here last time, I had sizzling noodle, and I had a super hot plate. I had 2 meals because I was pretty hungry. And I went to that Vietnamese place that I'm looking at because I saw that big sign at the top that they have a banh mi. I thought, I can have a banh mi sandwich. But when you get close, the menu has it crossed out. It says banh mi is not available. So this is a pasta burger place. I'm kind of in the mood for a burger, oddly enough. I think I might even do that. And then they have pasta as well. Maybe I'll get a burger with pasta, combine the two. Like a chicken burger and pork bolognese or something like that. And I'll have to come back if that's what I want to do. Actually, I think I'll just do that. I'm standing right here. And I'm here in Penang for another week. So will be lots of time to try these other places. Order has been placed. Chicken burger and pork bolognese. Oh, and I even sat at this very table before, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I didn't know that, but they have this system where every table has a number, and I don't know whether it's only a COVID thing or it's always been part of their ordering system. But I show up and I go up to one of these places and say, I'd like to have this or this food, and then they say, well, what's your table number? And I'm like, well, I haven't sat down yet. I don't have a table yet. So then I have to run away, claim a table, and then go back and tell them what table I've claimed, and then get back here before someone else takes it. I'm curious how substantial these meals will be, or these dishes that I ordered. I'm pretty hungry, actually. The times I've been here, as I said, I've always ordered 2 meals because one just isn't enough. It's kind of interesting. My very first night here, I went to this banh mi restaurant right beside my Airbnb. Quite a well-known one, I guess. Yeah, the banh mi kitchen, it's called. And I couldn't get banh mi because they ran out. And I ordered something else from the menu. And I was sort of in Malaysia new, you know, I just arrived and I wasn't used to pricing yet. And then I had this idea that the things I was ordering were a little bit expensive because they were crop, you know, the dish was like 20 ringgit, and I ordered something else that was, you know, 10 ringgit, and then you have a drink for 6. Anyway, the bill seemed to be climbing up and up. But since then, I've sort of gotten more used to what you end up paying anyway. Like one of their banh mi sandwiches is 20 ringgit. And I was thinking, oh, 20 ringgit for a sandwich. I don't know if I want to pay that much. But the longer you stay in a place, the more you adjust to their economy, whatever it is, whatever their currency is worth. And right here, my chicken burger is 9 ringgit and the bolognese is 8. So there's 17 ringgit right there. And if I order a drink, it'll be, it'll be 20 ringgit. So when I arrived, I was thinking 20 ringgit was an expensive meal. That I quickly adjusted my expectations. So what the heck was I talking about? Oh, I was talking about Francis Light. And I had other reasons for wanting to know more about him. And cemeteries are quite interesting. And my idea was I could take, well, I think since I'm sitting at a table now and I'm about to eat, I can take this off legally. No one's going to give me a hard time. As long as you're eating, you don't have to wear a mask. It's kind of crazy. It's like, it's amazing we haven't all gotten super fat because the longer we eat, the longer we don't have to wear a mask all these years. Anyway, I also had this idea to ride the Brompton folding bicycle. I've got that amazing bike, and just the way my days have gone, I haven't ridden it as much as I could have, so I wanted to get, have more opportunities to ride around on it. So I got the folding bike ready, surprised again at how heavy that thing actually is, and I've got to climb down a fairly long flight of stairs to get from my Airbnb, down to the road. And by the time you do that, your arm is aching, or at least my skinny arms are aching. You're holding it with one hand by the seat, and it's a lot of weight in a very compact shape. So I carried it down, and I've been thinking about and practicing unfolding the folding bike. I still don't have the technique figured out, but I'm getting better at it slowly but surely. And just as I was doing all this, I had the idea that I could add breakfast to my morning's events. And that worked out well because I went to a place called Cafe Evergreen a little while ago, on the weekend with a friend of mine. He brought me there. He knew about the place and had kueh tiao tung and buttered toast with an egg, with a cup of egg, like soft-boiled eggs as a dipping sauce. And that was really, really good. And it was right on the way to the cemetery. So I got on the bike and started riding in that direction. But very quickly I realized again that Penang is not good for walking, and it's not good for cycling either. This is a driving city. It's not even good for driving either. My friend has cars. He has a car, and the times that he's come to pick me up, every time he said, "Oh, I hate driving here." He just doesn't enjoy it. I understand. It's a busy place, crazy streets. So I'm on the folding bike, and you're battling with the one-way streets again, figuring out a way to get to where I wanted to go. But I got there okay, and I made a big deal on video about folding up the folding bike, and I did it okay this time. Carried it into the restaurant, brought it right into, beside my table. And I have to say, the thing I am enjoying the most about being here is the fact that I can speak to everyone in English. It's like changed my personality completely because I can talk to people. I get very inhibited when there's a language barrier, as there was in Thailand. So if I came to sort of an outdoor market like this, or to a local restaurant like Cafe Evergreen, in Thailand, I was quite uncomfortable. I was awkward. I was shy. I can't speak to them in Thai, obviously, and they can't speak to me in English. And it's just a kind of a more stressful experience. And when you never speak to anyone, your personality never comes out. You're never engaged socially with anyone, and it does weird things to your head. Here in Malaysia, I find I'm sort of opening up. I'm feeling much more energetic. I'm feeling more social. I want to talk to people. I'm enjoying having people around. So even here, when I went up to this pasta burger place, I just walked up to the guy behind the counter because I don't know how to order at any of these places. The first time I came here, I thought, well, is there an ordering system? Do I decide what I want? Then I go to the window to pay? Because none of these booths, like none of them have counters. There's no cash registers. There's no window. So I thought, well, what do you do here? And if this were Thailand, I don't know, I might even just leave because I can't figure out how to order. But here, I just walked around to the back and I went up to the first guy I saw, you know, not a big smile on my face, but a smile on my face. And I say, hey, hello, can I order here? And he says, yeah, what do you want? And we have this natural, normal conversation, just as if I'm back in Canada or something. And I says, oh, great, yeah, let me show you what I want. And I brought him around to the front, pointed to the chicken burger and the bolognese. Just to, I guess it's habit now, pointing at pictures. I still do it, even though I can now speak to people. But I just feel much more, just open and social and willing to talk to people. And I had that feeling when I went to Cafe Evergreen. I mean, the first time I went was with my friend, who is Malaysian, and he knows the place, I guess, and maybe they even know him, I don't know. And then he ordered everything, and I didn't have to do anything. The food just came to the table. But this time I was on my own, and it was just a lot of fun. I walked up to the woman behind the counter. She's making the kueh tiao tung. Every time I say kueh tiao tung to someone local, they always correct my pronunciation. But I have no idea what I'm saying wrong, and I can't hear a difference the way they're saying it. But I'm saying it wrong every time. But I went in up to the woman who was making that dish, and I said to her, oh, could I have a bowl of a kueh tiao tung? And I want the medium size. And I did point at the wall again. There was a sign on the wall. Such a hard habit to break because they have small, medium, large. And I pointed at the medium, said, yeah, like a medium bowl. And I also wanted to get the toast with the egg dip. And I asked her, like, do I have to go back there to order it, or can I order it from you? She says, oh, you just tell me. And I said, yeah, I'd like the toast and the eggs. And then she shouted the order back at the guy because he makes them in a different place. And it was just more, I'm just more open, I'm more talkative, I'm more easygoing now that I'm in Malaysia. So that's a really nice thing. A more human side of me has been allowed to come out. And the meal was really good, really enjoyed that. I made one mistake, which is kind of funny. It came with a tiny dish of peppers. But yeah, in Thailand, I'd get these little bowls of peppers, and they were always sweet peppers. I'd be hesitant about eating them because I figured they must be hot pepper, you know? And then I'd try one. It's like, nom, 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 sweet pepper. And I just dump the whole thing in my food, and I eat all the sweet peppers. So I'm at Cafe Evergreen, and there's this little bowl of peppers, and I was kind of playing the odds, and I think, well, maybe those are sweet peppers. So I just dumped the whole bowl in with my noodles. Turns out they were like super, super hot peppers, and I played a game of hide and seek with those peppers the entire time because, I didn't want to eat them. I ate one and just burned my mouth apart, you know, and I didn't want any more. And the odd thing was, the longer I took to eat my meal, the hotter the broth became because it was absorbing the spiciness from the peppers. And by the time I was done, it was a pretty hot, pretty spicy soup. Food is coming. Thank you. Oh, look at that. Oh, I didn't even realize that I pointed at a chicken burger that had a black bun. I guess all of them do. Yeah, all their burgers have black buns on them. So there, yeah, black bun and spaghetti bolognese. Funny thing is, a lot of these places where I've been eating lately, they have that system I've been talking about where you have to buy a drink. The minute you sit down, someone from the drinks counter comes and says, what drink do you want? And you must buy one. And I don't generally want one, but I've had to. But coming here today, I want one. I really want a cold Coke. There's a table over there, a bunch of people that have cold Cokes, but big cups of ice. I'm just like dying to have one. So I want someone to come and ask me, what would you like to drink? And I would say, Coke over ice, please. But they don't have that system here. I guess I'd have to go get it on my own. spaghetti paws. It's okay. I mean, I was sort of hoping for a thicker, more meatier broth, because this is pork bolognese. There isn't a whole lot of pork in there. It's just noodles with a kind of tomato sauce. Very al dente, very chewy noodles, which I think is normal. When I make my own spaghetti, I tend to make it really soft. I boil it and boil. I love soft everything. I'm not into crunchy food. I have higher hopes for value for this. Let me take it out of the wrapper. Look at that. Thick chicken patty. Whoop. Fried egg. I think this is good value. I think you get more for your money with this. I ended up talking about this habit I have of preparing and organizing for every eventuality. But then when those eventualities appear, I've forgotten that I've prepared for it. So it's like I'm carrying around wooden chopsticks, and yet when I had breakfast with my friend and I needed wooden chopsticks, and I even talked about wanting and needing wooden chopsticks, I completely forgot that I had some with me, right? So I prepared for that moment, and then I forgot that I had prepared. That's a bit of a theme with me these days. I think it's a sign that my life is too complicated, because just as I was leaving from my Airbnb right now, I was wondering, should I bring a camera? I'm not sure if I'm in the mood. But I thought, okay, why not? Which camera should I bring? I thought, let's just keep the thing simple and bring the GoPro. So I get out my GoPro and I'm looking around for my usual grips, because I always use the Jaws Flex clamp. And I was thinking, if I go to New World Park, I can clamp it to the side of the table. So I get out my Jaws Flex clamp. But then I notice on the Jaws Flex clamp, I don't have the proper mounting on the top of it, because my GoPro, this has this quick release buckle, but I had my Jaws Flex clamp worked out with a GoPro finger mount. And that was just so weird. It's like, why did I do that? I always put the GoPro on this thing. Like, why did I change the mounts? And I was like really confused, and I thought, what is going on? And I started dismantling the mount to change it back to how I usually have it. And I just started doing that. Then I remembered, the reason I did it was because I bought the GoPro 3-way grip, the new 2.0 version. And that is my new #1 GoPro selfie stick, because it's a selfie stick, a hand grip, and a tripod. It is sitting on its own tripod on the table right in front of me. And I love this thing to death. And yet, I just bought it like 2 days ago. And I've been dreaming about buying one of these things literally for years, ever since it came out. And I have one, and I was so excited about it. And then the day when I was leaving my room with the GoPro, I totally forgot that I owned one. I was trying to set up my old grip. I completely forgot. It was just like 2 days ago that I bought it. And I totally forgot that I bought it. And then I suddenly remembered. It's like, you're such a dummy. So anyway, I mounted it on my 3-way, and there it is. Works so well. Amazing little grip. But I was also talking about how being in Malaysia has brought out a much more social, much more talkative side of me. And I had examples of that today as well, because I did go to the cemetery. Maybe I'll circle back to that in a minute. But after I left the cemetery, I rode the Brompton down the waterfront a little bit. There isn't a whole lot of open waterfront in Penang, to be honest, for visitors. Most of it is private or sealed off or covered with fences and apartment buildings, fancy hotels. But there's a little bit of a park, an esplanade down near the historic district. And I wanted to go there to sort of end the video there in a beautiful spot. So I go there and I'm riding my bike down this wide sidewalk, and I notice some workers, some young men. They look like they're doing some surveying. They've got like a big tripod device, and they're kind of leaning against a van, and looks like they're there doing something. And I ride past them, and one of the guys, calls out to me, just says, "Hey, hello," makes eye contact. I mean, I look unusual, tall white guy in a bright red shirt, and I'm on a tiny bicycle, like a folding bike, looks kind of odd, my body on that tiny bike. And I've got the 360 camera on a pole sticking out the front like a long, unicorn's horn. So I stand out. And so he made eye contact and he said hello. And I just, turned around the bike and I'm like, hello. And then we stood there and had a nice conversation for 10 minutes. I'm asking him about the work he's doing. And as I suspected, they were surveying. And it was connected to the land reclamation projects going on the coast of Penang. I saw that near the Ascot Hotel when I went to the coffee shop there with my friend, and you could see that they were reclaiming the land out over the ocean, and they're going to build a whole bunch of new buildings out there. And these guys are part of a company that is surveying the surrounding area to get a sense of the height of everything and the water levels, and I guess they were out on a boat and they were taking readings of the depth of the water. They're surveying the whole area, and they want to get, maybe the environmental effects of this land reclamation project or engineering data. And we're talking about that. He's asking me about me, my life, what I'm doing. And I just have this wonderful conversation on the street with this total stranger, all because he just said hello. And I just love that. And it happens to me here in Penang all the time. I'm like talking to everyone everywhere I go, and I love it. And in Thailand, this couldn't happen, not because the Thai people wouldn't be willing to talk to me, but I don't speak their language and they don't speak mine. So we were like ships passing in the night. So I just didn't have this opportunity to talk to people as I do here. And as I said, as I've been enjoying my burger and spaghetti and talking into the GoPro, a tourist came up, a woman came up to my table and said, "Oh, excuse me, are you a YouTuber, GoPro?" And I said, I never know quite how to answer that. And I always try to make a silly joke that, well, kind of, I'm trying, I'm a total amateur and I do everything wrong. I say all these things instead of just saying, yes, I am a YouTuber. I hedge and I qualify everything. But she asked me that question because she thought if I was a YouTuber, I must know a lot about the food scene. So could I recommend good places for them to go? She's here with her son. And where could they go to have good food? And then I had to confess that I don't really know. I'm not a foodie. I don't even keep track of places. I just have normal food everywhere I go. But I ended up kind of talking her ear off for a while, just because she did ask me about YouTube and how it's going, and asked me that question. You better have a cup of coffee ready because I'm going to spin a tale or two. I could talk about it for a very long time because I've had so few outlets to talk about it in my time in Mesa. But yeah, I'm enjoying that. Totally random aside, I was just thinking about this burger and how you judge a burger, and it's almost like there's a point of diminishing returns when it comes to burger ingredients. Because when this burger showed up, very impressed with it because it's big, had lots of layers. It has the big patty, chicken patty, fried egg, sauces, lettuce, vegetables, and it's a big stack, right? And that's what you want in a good burger. You want all of that stuff. It is really, really good. I like it. But once a burger reaches skyscraper proportions and has a lot of liquidy things in it, you try to take a bite out of it and all of the interior just squirts out the other side, because you're squeezing the bun on this side. When you take a bite into it, you're squeezing the two bun parts, And then it's like a tube of toothpaste, right? All the patty and the egg and the lettuce and the tomatoes and the sauce all just squirts out the other side and it's dripping everywhere. And then by the time you're done, you're doing what I'm doing, which is eating my burger with a spoon and a fork, because it was just way too messy to try and keep this under control. But anyway, that just occurred to me that the better your burger, the more difficult it is to eat as a burger. Like, you might argue that a McDonald's hamburger is not the best example of a good hamburger, right? No one would say they make the best hamburgers, but they're really easy and simple to eat. I mean, that's one reason I think they're so popular, is you have a burger and it's like a sandwich you can hold and you can eat it. A gourmet burger, I would call this a gourmet burger, falls apart very quickly and it's hard to eat it with your hands, which is actually the whole point of a hamburger. I'm down to one piece of bun and one piece of a chicken and then some scattering of veggies. I have to say that with this like massive increase in social life for me and conversation, which I'm enjoying immensely, also comes a wish that my life was more comprehensible. I wish I had a life that I could sum up in one sentence, because people want to know about you, right? They meet you on the street for the first time, whether they're a local person or another foreigner, another tourist, and they want to hear your story. And I want to be able to say, for example, someone says to me, oh, where are you from? Canada. Oh, so what are you doing in Malaysia? Says, oh, or like what do you do and why are you in Malaysia? And I'd love to be able to say, oh, well, you know, I'm an accountant. I have a firm I work for in Toronto, and I've got a month off, and I thought I'd spend my month holiday this year in Malaysia. You're all done, right? You live in Toronto, you're an accountant there, and you're here on holiday for 1 month or 2 weeks. And then, you know, now you can move on to other topics to talk about, like GoPros and what a gourmet burger is compared to a McDonald's burger. But whenever anyone asks me any kind of a question about me and my life, I just mentally and verbally fall all over myself, because I have no idea what to say. I don't even know who I am anymore. To try and explain how I ended up in Penang, what I was doing before Penang and what I'm going to be doing afterward, there's so many uncertainties, so many twists and turns, so many weird things that can't be explained easily. It's kind of exhausting, and I end up hemming and hawing, and I even end up telling a lot of things that aren't true because even I don't remember. And sometimes a lie is easier than the truth, kind of like a lie by omission, because they'll say like, oh, so you're traveling around, and I'm sort of traveling and I'm not really traveling. I never know how to answer that either, but I'll say yeah, I was in Thailand, and then I came here to Malaysia, and now I'm in Penang, and then I'm going to Kuala Lumpur. And that's all true. I was in Thailand, now I'm here, and I am going to Kuala Lumpur. But of course, the length of time I was in Thailand and what I was doing there is all very complicated. And even coming to Penang and how long I'm staying here is a little bit unusual already. Like right out of the gate, I've been here for 2 weeks already, and I booked my room for another week. So I'm going to be in Penang for 3 weeks. And to almost any other tourist, that is an incredibly long time. To me, it's a very short amount of time. I feel like I've just arrived. I'm not ready to go yet. But when I say to someone, yeah, I'm going to be here for 3 weeks, they're like, wow, 3 weeks, that's so much time. What are you going to do all that time while you're here? And my response is, what? 3 weeks? I can barely get the things done that I want to do in 3 weeks. You know, that's not enough time. But for them, they're going to be here for 1 day, maybe 2, and then they're on to the next place. And for them, that's a long time, you know? So my experience of everything never quite matches up with other people's. And then I start digging a hole for myself, trying to explain where I was coming from, and I was doing this and doing that, and it gets yeah, it gets complicated. Circling back, as I promised to do, circling back to my visit to the old Protestant cemetery. I was like, my official YouTube video for the day was my visit to the cemetery, and I planned on talking about the life of Francis, Light, and getting his story, a very interesting story, getting it correct. That was my goal. But I found that once I was on the move on the bicycle, having breakfast, firing up the camera, I just wasn't in the mood to do it. I was struggling somehow. I was trying to speak about what I was doing and trying to lead into where I was going, why I was going there. I'm riding my bike to the Protestant cemetery and trying to be natural about it. And I don't know, it just wasn't flowing. I wasn't feeling it. It was hard for me to do for some reason. I didn't know what to say next, and that's usually not a problem for me. But after I had my breakfast, I did go to the cemetery, and I was pleased to see that the gate into the cemetery was open. But then I did something really silly, for me, very silly in particular. There turns out that there was a big sign at the entrance to the cemetery, like a big stone plaque with a lot of writing on it. And when I went into the cemetery, missed it completely. Again, I blame the camera. I was focused on the camera. I was talking into the camera. I was rolling the bicycle too. And I just didn't see it. So I went into the cemetery almost completely blind, like with no information about the place, because online I could find very little information. Maybe I didn't search that hard or something. I don't know. I read everything about the history of Penang, the history of Georgetown, the history of Francis Light, but somehow I guess I missed the history of the museum website. So I'm walking around looking at all the gravestones and talking about what I'm seeing. But the whole time, and I mean, that was interesting because, as I suspected, there was information about the people in English on the tombstones, who they were related to, wife of, husband of, beloved son of, daughter of, that sort of thing. And I had a lot of information about where they were from various cities in England for the most part. And that was all very interesting, and it gave information about when they were born and when they passed away. And I noticed that a lot of the tombstones actually specified their exact age. You didn't have to do the math yourself. It just said, age 29 years, age 13 years, age 5 years, 3 months. It gave the age at which all these people passed away. And as I expected, a lot of these people passed away quite young, because that tends to be what you see in these older cemeteries. But the whole time that I was walking around and talking about what I was seeing right in front of me, I sort of wanted to take a step back, more of a macro view of the cemetery as a whole, but I had nothing to say because I had absolutely no information. And then I eventually found the tomb of Francis Light, and to my surprise, it was quite a moderate gravesite. I thought he would have the biggest one in the place because he was, I think, very much admired and almost loved as the governor or whatever he was. He was the founder of Georgetown. He was the founding father of this whole place. And from what I read, he seems to have been a good man at heart, a very intelligent man. And people liked him. So I thought there would be a huge gravesite for him, dwarfing all the ones around. But it was actually the opposite. His gravesite was a standard size, just a normal plot, crowded around with a whole bunch of other normal plots. And then there were a few big ones around, but his was quite small in comparison to everyone else. So I was surprised about that. But while I was there, 2 other foreigners showed up. And as I do these days, when we kind of got near each other, I threw them a cheery hello. I just greeted them. Turns out they were American, and they said hello back in English. and we had a chat just for a couple of minutes. And I wanted to prolong our conversation, so I said to them something like, "Oh, were you aware that the tomb of Francis Light is here in this cemetery? Like, that's the main attraction of this place. Did you know that?" And it turns out they did know that. And then they told me, "Yeah, and we read about it because we read about it in the information board at the entrance to the cemetery." And they told me that another famous person buried there was the husband of, what is her name? Annie Leibovitz? I can never remember her name. She's the woman that the story in the movie The King and I was based on, like the real person that story was based on, her husband. Like, it was her memoirs that was turned into the movie and the play. Anyway, that woman, her husband, was buried here in the old Protestant cemetery. And they told me that because they read it on that board. So I thought, can't believe I missed that. So on my way out of the cemetery, I went there, and then I got to read it, and I got all the information that I wish I had had while I was in the cemetery. But yeah, it was just so ridiculous. I walked all around the cemetery, babbling away, no idea what I'm talking about. And then as I'm leaving, I see the board. It's like, there's all the information. Everybody has Coke on ice. Everybody. Or other drinks in big cups of ice. Where are they getting it from? I don't see anyone delivering drinks to the tables. So I think everybody's getting it themselves first. And then they take the drink to their table, use the drink to claim the table, look at the number, and then they go order their food. I think that's the proper technique. Now I know. Anyway, after the cemetery, which I felt weird about because I didn't feel right. The whole experience just didn't sit well with me for some reason. But I had a plan, and my plan was to go from there to St. George's Anglican Church because there was a monument to Francis Light on the church grounds. I wanted to see the monument and kind of use that as a button hook or an ending for the video. And I went there. It wasn't easy to get there on my bike again with all the traffic, but I found it eventually. And it turns out there was really nothing there. It was a big monument, much bigger than his tomb, his gravesite was, much, much bigger. But there was nothing personal about it. It was just a kind of something you would stick in your backyard as a gazebo, a cement structure with columns and then a dome roof. And that was it. There was like no statue of him, no photographs. Well, of course, no photographs. What am I saying? He was alive at a time when people were not taking photographs, which interestingly enough, there is a bronze statue of him at Fort Cornwallis. I saw that already. But when they made that bronze statue, they based it on a portrait of his son because there is no portrait of the real Francis Light in existence. They had to use his son as the model for making the bronze statue, which is kind of interesting. But at this monument, there was nothing. And there was the whole monument is falling apart. It's like a security risk. Like concrete is falling down. So they put a ribbon all the way around the outside, so you can't even go inside it anymore. But there was a tiny sign on the inside that you could read. And I read it, just said something about how he's the founder of Georgetown. And that's pretty much all it said, not much more than that. So there wasn't much point going to see the monument except being a completist and seeing everything. And then from there, I rode my bike to the Esplanade along the water there. That was quite nice. Look at the ocean. One of those giant cruise ships was there. I babbled about that for a while. I have thoughts about cruise ships. And that's where I met the men doing the surveying work. And I chatted with them for a while. And then I turned around, rode my bike all the way back to the Airbnb. I stopped at a vending machine to get a lemon tea, cold lemon tea drink. I stopped at a 7-Eleven to get a cold Coke, actually. It's probably why I have Coke on the brain. Oh, someone asked me in a message this afternoon, have you had a vanilla Coke yet? Because that is my favorite drink. And I could only get vanilla Coke here in Malaysia. There is no vanilla Coke in Thailand. At least none of the places I went to ever had it. But I've had it here in Malaysia, so I should, that's what I should do. I should get a vanilla Coke. That's what I'll end this video with. I was gonna get a Coke here. I'll see if they have vanilla Coke, but I don't think they do. I'll go to a 7-Eleven and see if I can get vanilla Coke. That'll be interesting. So I think I've had the camera pointed at me long enough over dinner, so I'll aim it away from me for now. And this is the drinks place. And I think they, like other food courts, they have a monopoly on drinks. No one else here, I think, is allowed to sell drinks. They can only sell food. Yeah, I don't see any drinks from anywhere else. Let's see. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Do you have vanilla Coke?
Coke vanilla don't have.
No? Okay.
Coke Zero good and Coke Asus.
I have this craving for vanilla Coke tonight. I don't know why.
Last time we got, but finished already.
Oh yeah. Is it popular?
No, too much.
No, not so much. It's popular with me. I think I'm gonna go look for it. Thanks. I may have kept the audio of that conversation, but yeah, they don't have any vanilla Coke. He called it Coke Vanilla. He flipped it around, so maybe that's what I have to call it in Malaysia. Coke Vanilla Coke? Coke Vanilla. He said something about how they did have it. The woman said something about how they're sold out. And I got the idea that, oh, that must be very popular, then they can't keep it in stock. And I asked him if it was popular because of that. And he said, no, it's not popular. So I said, oh, I don't know why it's sold out. I guess they just don't order it. Nobody wants it, except me. But the 7-Eleven is a bit of a hike away from here. So at least the 7-Eleven that I know about. I was going to check on my map to see whether there's a 7-Eleven near this neighborhood. There might be a closer one. It doesn't qualify as close exactly, but there's supposed to be a 7-Eleven up here, maybe half a mile or something like that. But I don't think I've gone up this road in this direction anyway. So it's give me a chance to go for a little bit of a walk, see what's in this neighborhood. I've come up here a little ways, but I don't know if I've gone that far. We'll see. And if I did come this way, it probably was on a bicycle and walking. You see different things as opposed to when you're on a bike. Oh, now that I'm away from the food court, yeah, I can get rid of the mask. Oh, feels so good to get rid of it. Nice. Old building. Huh. I said, huh, because I had this idea that one of those trees up there was like growing from the second floor. Kind of looked like it didn't go all the way down to the ground, but it probably does go to the ground. But yeah, look at that place. Budding filmmaker sees this and probably imagines all the stories they could tell using this as a set. Kitty cat in the window. Yeah, it'd be great for cats to live in there. A lot of security for them. Can you imagine though a film crew like illegally trying to work in there? Not gonna happen. Just secure, like safety and insurance reasons. When I said I never came this way before, I misspoke a little bit because I did come here. I remember seeing this big archway, Nagore Square or Nagore Square. And on my last walkabout, I went down there. I walked all the way through here, one end to the other. It's probably a lot busier now, of course. It's the evening, more people would be here. Though it is a weeknight, Tuesday night, I think. So, be a lot busier on the weekend, I'm sure. But now, I'm in new territory. I definitely never saw this store before, or any of these places. Still walking, haven't reached the 7-Eleven yet. A bit far for your neighborhood 7-Eleven. That was certainly one thing about everywhere I went in Thailand. The number of 7-Elevens there was incredible. You were never, it felt like you were never more than a block away from a 7-Eleven, no matter where you were. They don't seem to be quite as popular here. Not that I'm writing a thesis on 7-Elevens or anything, but another big difference is signage, because the 7-Elevens in Thailand, you saw them from miles away, it felt like. They always had huge signs, so if you just sort of stood anywhere and just looked down the street in one direction or the other, boom, you'll see the 7-Eleven sign. They just dominate. You can see them from far away. But here, I'm right in front of the 7-Eleven and I could barely see the sign. I kept looking ahead up the street and it's like, I don't think there's a 7-Eleven because I'm not seeing the sign. Like, yeah, right here, for example. Would you know that there's a 7-Eleven there? You probably would not, because, yeah, there's the sign, right? It's just a tiny, tiny sign. And the storefront is quite small. So, vanilla Coke to end the evening or not? Let's find out.
Hello, welcome.
And there's the display. Coke Classic and Coke Zero. But I don't see... Oh, they have bottles of vanilla Coke. I love, for some reason, it always tastes better out of cans, but they do have bottles, so I'll get a bottle of vanilla Coke. Yeah, it doesn't look as enticing as when it's in a can, but there we go. Success of a sort. The big moment. This is a 24-hour 7-Eleven, but he did say, I asked if I could sit here to drink this. I don't know why I asked, but I did. And he said that they're going to close for dinner in 10 minutes. So it's a good thing I did ask. I've never heard of a 7-Eleven closing for dinner before. Yeah, it's a nice little counter. I love 7-Elevens that have a counter space. I kind of like them better when they're facing the glass window and you can sit and look out over the street, sort of staring at the wall here. Yeah, they have electrical outlets and USB plugs here too, so you can plug in your devices. Vanilla Coke. Nice. Every bit as good as I remembered. I don't know what it is. I like vanilla Coke. In a bottle or in a can, doesn't seem to matter. Best would be a big pitcher of ice and pour the whole thing into the ice, but I'll take it as I can get it. Yeah, I like that. I like it a lot. Something else I've been thinking about over the last couple of days is water, whether water coming out of the tap in Malaysia, is it drinkable? Is it potable? I don't know. I usually get water from machines at the side of the road, you know, filtration machines. And I found one in my neighborhood, and I was planning to go there to fill my big water bag with water. But then I noticed in the kitchen at my Airbnb, they have Panasonic. You know, it's not Panasonic, it's that knockoff brand. Panasonic, but there's like a 2-system water filter. So when you turn on the water, you can just get water out of the tap, or you can close a valve, and then the water goes through 2 filters and then comes out this little thing. So I thought, oh, maybe the water is almost filtered. It's almost drinkable coming out of the normal water supply. And if you run it through these 2 filters, maybe it's perfectly healthy to drink. So that's where I've been getting my water. So far, I feel okay. I went through that vanilla Coke really fast. Just chugged it down. And now it's dark out here. And they closed the 7-Eleven just as I was leaving, because they really were locking the doors for break time for their dinner. It's pretty funny. They said, I've never heard of a 7-Eleven closing ever. But now it is too dark for my GoPro to keep working. And I think I've babbled on long enough for this story behind the story. I'm going to shut this camera down. Head back to the Airbnb. Yeah, good day. Time to get ready for the next day.